What's going on, guys? My name's Josh and I'm back today with another movie review. Today I'm finally reviewing Godzilla vs. Kong. I'm so happy I just got done watching it, and after 58 years, Godzilla and Kong fans, we finally got the rematch we've all been waiting for. Godzilla vs. Kong. Now you better watch out because it's time to get those reviews started. Let's go. So my review today will be a spoiler-free review. I will put out a spoiler review in a few days after the movie's officially released. So Godzilla vs. Kong is a 2021 film, and this film is going to be released March 31st, 2021 on, in theaters in the United States, and also released on HBO Max the same day. This movie is directed by Adam Wingard. The film stars Alexander Skarsgård as Dr. Nathan Lind. We have Millie Bobby Brown as Madison Russell, Rebecca Hall as Dr. Eileen Andrews, Brian Tyree Henry as Bernie Hayes, and Kaylee Hoddle as Gia. And the plot of this movie is fearsome monsters Godzilla and King Kong square off in an epic battle of the ages, while humanity looks out to wipe out both of the creatures and take back the planet once and for all. So going into this movie, I was super excited. I'm a huge Godzilla fan. I've been a Godzilla fan ever since I was a little kid. Obviously, I'm Team Godzilla. And yeah, I remember as a kid watching the original Kong vs. Godzilla 1962. And one thing that a lot of people didn't like about that movie was there wasn't really a clear winner. It was always debated on who won. Godzilla and Kong were fighting. It seemed like Godzilla was winning. They both fall off a cliff and Kong gets up, Godzilla doesn't. So was it hinted, did Kong win? Many Godzilla fans debate that and say no, Godzilla could have just swam away. So it was just very debatable. It wasn't a clear winner. So we've been waiting for this movie. And this movie, actually, they were going to have a Godzilla vs. Kong in the 90s. Didn't happen, so I'm just happy that we finally got Godzilla vs. Kong, and it's in the MonsterVerse. These MonsterVerse movies really have been setting this epic showdown up between Godzilla and Kong. So going to this, 100% Team Godzilla. Who are you a fan of? Are you Team Godzilla? Are you Team Kong? Please leave your comments below. So what did I think about this movie? I, of course, love this movie. This movie was amazing. It was awesome. We got some really cool fight scenes, definitely a lot of action, and it was well worth the wait. I know this movie's gotten delayed a few times, and the wait was worth it because this movie was awesome. So first I want to start out with what did I like about this movie. First I gotta say, the fight scenes were everything. They definitely gave us what we want. When we go into a Godzilla movie, we want to see fight scenes, especially a movie called Godzilla vs. Kong. We really want to see them fight, and they delivered on that. We got some really cool fight scenes, definitely very vicious. When they go at it, they're really going at it, and they're not holding back, and I love that. Also, I got to say, I love that we got to see these monsters, and we got to see them fight in a different way than we've seen in other movies as well. So, for example, Godzilla, we get to see a water scene with him where, Godzilla, you see his spikes sticking out of the water and he's swimming around. It almost reminded me of Jaws, where Godzilla's a shark in the water and Kong is one of the humans in the boat. And you just see how powerful and dangerous Godzilla is in the water. That was really cool to see. Something we've seen a little bit in the MonsterVerse, but not like this. I thought that was awesome. Also, I gotta say, Godzilla, like I said, does not hold back in this movie. He's pretty brutal. He is going to bite, scratch, use his atomic breath. He was just not going all out. And I will say, too, the way he was fighting in this movie, he almost reminded me of like a crocodile or alligator, and it was really cool to watch. And he was definitely very menacing and just super powerful. And I gotta say, I loved Godzilla. We see Godzilla fight humans in this movie, and he's a tank, and it was cool seeing him not hold back on humans when they got in his way. Also, I gotta give it up to Kong. Kong also has some really cool fight scenes in this movie. One cool thing about Kong is so agile. So to see him kind of jump around, swing around on buildings, run, dodge Godzilla's atomic breath, it was just really cool to watch. And another thing I gotta say, Kong is also really smart as well. So while he's fighting, he also, you can tell he's using his brain and using strategy in his fights. So definitely you got to see them fight in a different kind of way than I feel like we've got to see them fight before. And you got to give it up too. The writers, or pretty much, they listened to the fans in this movie. So some of the big critiques from Godzilla fans based on the previous movies is, one, we got longer fight scenes. They delivered on that. We also wanted fight scenes in the daylight. We got fight scenes in the daylight. Also, in the fight scenes we did get at night, it was so well... it was very bright, especially like in Hong Kong. You had all the neon lights. It was just really cool to watch. Really cool fight scenes. I love those. Also, I gotta give it up to the CGI. Both Godzilla and Kong look so good for not really being real. They looked real, and yeah, they just did an amazing job on the CGI in this movie. Also, I loved the relationship between, Kong and Gia in this movie. So Kong has a special relationship with a little girl named Gia, and Gia is able to communicate with Kong, and because of this, you really kind of get to understand Kong as a character, and it really makes Kong more human, and yeah, you get to kind of see what Kong is going through. So I love, that was one of my other favorite things. I love the relationship between Kong and Gia. I did enjoy Brian Tyree Henry in this movie. I thought his character Bernie was hilarious. He definitely had a lot of funny scenes, and I enjoyed him anytime he was on screen. I also enjoyed, Millie Bobby Brown as Madison Russell. One thing I appreciate about her character was Team Godzilla, and I do feel like this movie is definitely Team Kong. A lot of the characters are Team Kong, so it definitely was nice seeing, Team Godzilla represented in the movie because I'm Team Godzilla. Also, I gotta say, I really enjoyed that we get to explore the Hollow Earth some more. In the previous MonsterVerse movies, they talk about the Hollow Earth, but it was nice that some of those questions asked in those previous movies, we finally get some answers on what the Hollow Earth is in this movie, and I love that they explored that. I also gotta say, I do like some of the new, kaiju designs. I love Warbad Nizuki. I thought he was just such a really, really cool design, and it was cool seeing this, snake-like serpent Titan that's really dangerous as well. So I really enjoyed his design. Also, I loved, seeing Mechagodzilla in this movie as well. I thought his design was really, really cool. And I will say, that is not really a spoiler since the director, he posted a picture that Mechagodzilla was going to be in this movie. So I will just say his design was awesome. So next, let's get into what I didn't like about this movie. So overall, I gotta say, I love this movie. This definitely was one of probably my favorite movies, if not my favorite movie in the MonsterVerse movies. There's a few things, though, that I would say what I didn't like about this movie. One, I gotta say, I know a lot of people will say they don't like the human storylines are silly and they don't really care for those human storylines. Me, after watching, all of these monster movies many, many times, I feel like I'm a monarch scientist myself, so I knew exactly what the humans were doing when they were trying to go on their little adventures. I understood it because I'm a huge fan of these movies. While I don't know if like a casual person or someone who's not a fan of these movies, they might not fully understand what the humans were doing. But I will say, to me, what I would say was more of a con for me is there's just... one thing I think is there's too many characters in this movie, and it just... some characters, they get their time to shine, but then because there's so many characters, I just don't feel like some characters get their time to shine. You just don't really get a lot of time with them, and it hurts their character development. So just for example, you have Kyle Chandler in this movie. He was a huge part in Godzilla King of the Monsters, and he was in this movie a couple scenes, but because there's so many characters in this movie, he really wasn't in this movie a lot, and he really didn't add too much to the overall story. Same thing with Ren Serizawa. That's, Dr. Serizawa's son, and in the previous Godzilla movie, Dr. Serizawa pretty much sacrificed himself to save Godzilla, and his whole life was about protecting Titans. So it was very interesting, that now you have his son in this movie, and I just really wish we would have got to more time with his son to explore, how does he feel about his son or his dad, sacrificing himself to save, a Titan. Does he like Titans? Does he hate Titans? Is he angry that his dad sacrificed himself? I just feel like we could have explored that character so much more, but because there's just so many characters in this movie, we just didn't get a lot of time with his character. And that goes with the same thing with the villains as well. The villains in the movie, I just really wish, we had maybe only one villain, and then we would kind of get to know that villain a little bit more. I just feel like there's too many characters, and because of that, not everyone got their time to shine. So I do feel like that, in a way, that did kind of hurt some of the characters. They just didn't get enough time. Now next up, I do want to say, and this one is going to be a minor, kind of nitpicky, but I will say, this movie is 100%, while I enjoyed this movie is totally Team Kong. It's definitely from Kong's point of view. Kong is the underdog, and Godzilla is the villain in this movie. Because of that, because this movie is so Team Kong, I almost feel like, in ways, this movie at times felt more like a Kong movie that Godzilla happens to be in, rather than a Godzilla movie. And I think mainly because of that is, in the previous Godzilla movies, Godzilla was the hero. The audience, you get to kind of connect with Godzilla more. Godzilla comes in and saves the day. So the audience, you just feel very connected with Godzilla. So where in this movie, it's just different because the movie is so Team Kong. And a lot of the times with the audience, you are more between Kong's relationship with Gia, the audience itself is connecting to Kong more. So you're kind of more feeling what Kong's feeling through, his relationship with Gia, and it just more, I feel like the movie, because the movie was so Team Kong, I just feel like you didn't get those moments with Godzilla. Anytime Godzilla did come on the scene, he was more of a villain. So I will say that I just wish we got to connect with Godzilla a little bit more. I will also say though, don't get me wrong, Godzilla gets a ton. He's in this movie, a ton in this movie. He definitely has some really cool action scenes, really cool fight scenes. He's definitely badass in this movie. I just wish we would have got to connect with him a little bit more, if that makes sense. But that's very, very minor as well. Like I said, I still overall love this movie, and I definitely will say, I recommend this movie. If you're a Godzilla fan at all, 100% go see this movie. I understand if you don't want to go to the theater, definitely watch it on HBO Max. It's coming out Wednesday. But for me, I do plan on seeing this at the theater. This movie is going to look amazing at the theater. So yeah, that is my spoiler-free movie review on Godzilla vs. Kong. I will be coming out with a spoiler movie review in a few days. I definitely want to talk. There's definitely more stuff I want to talk about, but I don't want to go into too much detail. But what are your thoughts? Are you going to see Godzilla vs. Kong? How will you see it? Are you going to see it on HBO Max? Are you going to see it in theaters? Are you Team Godzilla? Are you Team Kong? Please leave your comments below, and thank you so much for watching.